Across the massive kingdom of Hyrule found within Breath of the Wild lay the remains of a great kingdom that once was. A kingdom that was once blossoming with life and thriving communities. Unfortunately, disaster struck this mighty kingdom 100 years ago. This is known as the Great Calamity, a catastrophic assault on the kingdom from the previously dormant Calamity Ganon sealed within Hyrule Castle. This monstrous attack essentially destroyed the kingdom. The only parts of the kingdom that didn't suffer from the Great Calamity are the far reaches of the kingdom, such as the formidable Hebra Mountains, the hills of Hiteno Village, along with the Gerudo Desert and Lurelin Village. Whilst the few regions of Hyrule survived, many suffered. Throughout playing the game, you will come across so many ruins and wrecked settlements that are the remains of the Great Calamity. Even from the get-go on the Great Plateau, we can see that nearly every structure has been obliterated. With all of these destroyed ruins comes some of the kingdom's big sights to see being left in absolute ruin. Locations that in the past were the most spectacular sights to see. And in today's video, we are going to look at 5 of Breath of the Wild's most mysterious ruins found across Hyrule. To avoid discussing locations that have already been covered by fellow curators, such as the Lanayru Promenade, the Forgotten Temple, and the Heroine statues, I've tried to narrow my picks down to the most unknown and mysterious ruins in Hyrule. Also, the channel has been growing insanely quick recently, and I really want to devote as much time as possible to my channel as possible. So, if you've been enjoying my videos, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to never miss a video. And without further ado, let's explore the ruins of the wild. Number 5. The Royal Ancient Lab Ruins. Before the Great Calamity devastated Hyrule, the kingdom was at its peak in terms of technology, mostly thanks to the Sheikah, as they worked closely alongside the royal family after the royal family noticed how advanced the Sheikah were becoming. These Sheikah technology pioneers of course needed somewhere to develop and test their creations, and the Royal Ancient Tech Labs was the heart of this wave of technology. Although it looks like nothing but some stone walls and rubble now, this was once a massive site for developing technology. However, we don't quite know if this was one massive building with multiple rooms for testing, or multiple smaller buildings for individual parts of the technology development. I would have loved to see what this lab looked like in its prime. It's also in the perfect location as it's as close to Hyrule Castle as possible without disrupting civilization. There is always the chance that the Sheikah had even developed teleportation plates to get to the castle quickly, similar to how the travel medallion works. Sadly, the lab is now nothing more than some half-broken walls and the home to the regional wildlife, such as foxes, birds, along with the occasional choo-choo. Number 4. The Temple of Time. Boy, has this place seen better days. If you are a longtime Zelda fan like myself, then there is a good chance you will already know about the Temple of Time. This once glorious temple made its iconic and arguably most important appearance in Ocarina of Time, acting as the transition point for Link to travel 7 years into the future and vice versa. In Breath of the Wild, we find the temple at the very beginning of the game, on the Great Plateau. It has changed quite a lot since we last saw it. The place is completely run down and destroyed. The path leading up to the Temple of Time and the 3 smaller temples on the way up are also completely destroyed and overrun by bokoblins. The Temple of Time itself is in especially bad shape. The windows are shattered, the interior is all over the place, and the temple structure has been left with some massive gaping holes which has resulted in exposing the temple to the elements, allowing for vines and moss to grow all over this historic landmark. The cause of the temple's decline can be found all over the place. Guardians. The Sheikah tank-like monsters are the main culprits here. During the Great Calamity, they absolutely destroyed the Temple of Time, leaving it to decay and rot, which is ironic as that's the same fate they would inevitably meet. The only thing that remains fully intact here is the Great Goddess of Hylia statue. The reason this ruined temple is so mysterious is because of the lore surrounding the temple. The Temple of Time and surrounding area found in Breath of the Wild strikes a chilling resemblance to the layout of Ocarina of Time's Temple of Time and surrounding area, with some pathways and settlements matching up perfectly. Yet, the temple is now found far from its previous home of Castletown. The Castletown we find in Breath of the Wild is destroyed, as it was at the heart of the Great Calamity. However, there is no evidence or proof within the game or the Creating a Champion book that there was ever a temple here. This has led some Zelda theorists to discuss this mystery, some suggesting that the original Temple of Time and Castletown were moved, almost to preserve them in a way on the Great Plateau. There are countless theories on why the Temple of Time has moved from its original home, but then again, geography throughout the Zelda series is not something to take too seriously when it comes to theories. One last thing. A cool detail to note about this chilling location is that the music that plays here is actually a broken and slowed down version of the Song of Time, an emotional callback to the former glory of the Temple of Time. Number 3. Lake KILSIE. Moving up to the sub-zero conditions of the Hyrule region. Deep within the Hyrule mountain range, we can find Lake KILSIE, an ice-cold lake that appears as if it has been dug into the Rocky Mountains like a massive trench, but flooded with water. This isn't your average lake. There are no pathways, ladders, or just any entrances at all to get down to the lake. The only way to get in is to drop down the cold hard rock. The reason I chose a lake in a list of ruins is because there are technically 3 ruins on the lake. At the south, middle, and north of Lake KILSIE, you can find 3 docks, all guarded by a single Korok. Whilst this is all good and dandy, it doesn't quite add up. If you explore the lake from one side to the other, you will soon realize that there are literally no signs of life or past life. No buildings, settlements, ruins, or even camps. Which begs the question, why are there 3 sets of docks down here? The lake is inaccessible from all sides. There are no signs of current or past life on the little land that the lake has. Could Lake KILSIE be a lake of the dead? A lake that once had some form of life but has now died out for whatever reason. Considering the lake is practically a pit, if someone was to fall in here, the likelihood of them escaping is slim, unless they have the necessary gear to climb out. Perhaps with every person that got trapped down in the lake, they built the docks with the little tools they had, combined with whatever trees could have grown on the small pieces of land. There is also a shrine inside the mountain rock by the lake, but this doesn't take away from the fact that the lake and its chilling docks are one hell of a mystery that has yet to be answered. Number 2. The Arbiter's Grounds. Venturing to the complete opposite of the cold Hyrule region, we are moving to the harsh heat of the Gerudo Desert. In the far reaches of this vast sandy desert, we can find the Arbiter's Grounds, a site of ancient Gerudo ruins that over the ages have been engulfed into the sand of the desert. Like the Temple of Time, you might know where I'm going with this if you have played some of the older Zelda games, specifically Twilight Princess. This is because the 4th dungeon in Twilight Princess is the Arbiter's Grounds. Yes, I know that Breath of the Wild is chock full of references, but some places are unique exceptions. The Arbiter's Grounds found within Breath of the Wild obviously doesn't strike a chilling resemblance to the one found in Twilight Princess, but that very well could be because over the hundreds and thousands of years leading up to the events of Breath of the Wild, the once massive prison known as the Arbiter's Grounds got buried into the sand. Oh yeah, did I mention it was a prison? Yeah, this colossal structure was a prison for the most malicious and evil criminals, most notably being the prison Ganondorf himself was sent to. So yeah, I am proposing that the same prison Ganondorf was almost executed in could be the same ruins we see in Breath of the Wild. To add to all of that, the Arbiter's Grounds found in Twilight Princess had a Bulblin camp nearby, similar to how the Arbiter's Grounds in Breath of the Wild has a camp-like settlement set up on a rock, very similar to the camp found in Twilight Princess. It might be a bit of a stretch, but many have predicted that the dungeons for the upcoming Breath of the Wild sequel might rise from the ground, similar to how the Sheikah Towers shot up at the beginning of Breath of the Wild. However, there might be a little problem there. The freaking Molduga lurking beneath the sand. Jokes aside, this location is rather interesting due to its connections to the once massive and titanous prison from Twilight Princess. Number 1. The Colosseum Ruins. Moving to the heart of the kingdom, Central Hyrule, not too far from the game's beginning region, the Great Plateau, we can stroll on down to the ruins of a once mighty Colosseum, a colossal arena that stands taller than almost every structure in the Kingdom of Hyrule, only second to Hyrule Castle itself. This divine creation is a bit of a mystery. Obviously, we know it's some sort of battle arena just off the design of it, but what kind of battles actually took place here? In the Creating a Champion book, we get a little bit of info on the Colosseum, but not enough. It tells us that it was once a site for entertainment to the people of Hyrule, but not much more than that. There is technically one inhabitant of the ruins, Da, a cowardly adventurer, a wannabe Link if you will, who insists he will take out all of the monsters within the Colosseum, but really just quivers in fear at the thought of going any further than his hiding spot. If you look at the map of Hyrule in Breath of the Wild, you can see that all of the major pathways and rivers connect to the Colosseum, on foot, by horse, or even by boat down the river. There is even a little bay-like area where boats could have docked up. This gives us some evidence towards it being used for entertainment for the residents of Hyrule, opposed to say punishing criminals by making them face monsters like the current inhabitants of the Colosseum, a Lionel. Yeah, the Colosseum is now run by this big boy right in the center of the battlefield, along with bokoblins, Lizalfos and moblins, all with elemental weapons, changing with the floor level you're on. My personal theory on the Colosseum is that it was mainly used to execute criminals by tossing them into a no-escape battlefield against the most terrifying monsters known to Hyrule. I believe this because there is no safety barriers around the edges, so I couldn't see it being used too often for spectators. The Colosseum ruins are one of my favourite ruins in the entire game, if not my favourite. A massive battle arena in the middle of Hyrule with not much of a backstory, and is now run by the monsters of the land that might just have been fighting here not too long ago in the Kingdom of Hyrule. Thanks a ton for checking out the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more Zelda content. What do you think about these locations? Have I got them spot on, or is there a different story behind them? Be sure to leave a comment with your thoughts on these locations or other locations in the game that you find interesting or mysterious. Huge thanks to all of my Patreon supporters for your incredibly generous support. I really do appreciate it and can't thank you guys enough. Thank you. Again, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.